Hello, friends. I've benefited a lot from people on YouTube sharing how to do things. So I figure I should have returned the favor once in a while. So my daughter has a favorite pair of pants here, and the waistband completely came apart because of the distressing that they did on it to make it look aged. And it's one of those things where it was kind of her favorite, so we didn't want to get rid of it. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. So if you have a similar issue that you're working on, you can do the same. All right, so this is the pair of pants here. It's a really nice, very soft, stretchy denim look. And what happened was this waistband came separated, and that whole elastic was completely popped out of this whole side. So the reason it's on the chair is because when you have something elastic, it can stretch and give, and the inside band is shorter than the fabric, so that's going to make it buckle. So you have to stretch it out and pin it. That way it meets up evenly from this side all the way over to this side. Okay, and I'll take the pants off in a minute and I'll show you exactly how that's happening on the other side of the waistband. But now we've got it all pinned into place horizontally, and it's going to be ready to sew up here on my machine. So a few things about my machine here is the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change my needle. You can see I took the old one out because when you're working with stretch fabric, it is preferable to use something called a ballpoint needle. You can see there on this side I have my ballpoint needles. The first thing I'm going to do is to install one of those. This helps it not to catch on that knitted fabric. It helps it to glide more easily through knit fabrics and elastics. If you don't have a stretch needle, that's not a big, huge deal, but it's definitely good to have one. So you can see my needle here. One side is flat, so that side is going to face the back. You don't have to be a pro at sewing to do a little bit of it. I know it can often be intimidating. I went to school for fashion design. I didn't know how to sew at all, and by the end, I was proficient. We sew every day, you're definitely going to be good. Now we've installed the stretch needle. All right, so you can see on my machine, these are all my stitches, and the one that we're going to use for stretch, I can use 2 or 3. We're going to use 3. Most every machine will have a zigzag stitch, which is great for sewing anything with stretch. You can see my tension should be between 3 and 7, and this is where I would change my tension. Okay, and over here I have my stitch width and my stitch length. Okay, so this is how big my zigzag is going to be, like a little bit or a lot, and this is how long each stitch is going to be. I always keep it up to the highest level if possible, because if I mess up, I do not want to tear out teeny tiny stitches. So that would be my advice to you, especially when working with stretch, is to keep that stitch as big and as wide as you can. So you can see I have my stitch set on 3, which I just adjust over here with this knob, and that will tell me that I'm on the correct stitch. I like to keep a spare piece of stretch fabric to test a swatch and sew that before I'm actually going to sew on my garment. So if I mess up or if the tension is off, it's not going to mess up the piece that I'm sewing. Okay, so we're going to test our zigzag stitch on the stretch fabric. Stitch should be enough to give us an idea. Always make sure your needle is all the way up before you go to pull out the piece. It's a thread cutter on the side. All right, y'all, this is live. There's my dog going off in the background. You know, Lulu. Alright, so you can see I have the 2 rows that I've stitched. I adjusted the tension to be a little bit less, and it laid a little bit flatter the second time. Things that are going to affect your tension, especially with stretch fabrics, is how much you're pulling on the garment as you sew. And also you can see when I went to cut the thread and that pulled, that it's going to pull it tighter. But other than that, I think my tension looks pretty good front to back. It's nice and flat, which is what I want it to be. So I think I'm okay to start on the garment and the waistband. Keeping in mind that it's thicker, we may have a hiccup. And that's kind of how sewing goes. It's a little bit of trial and error, and you got to be willing to wrestle with some things. Okay, so we're ready to start sewing. Most machines will have a way that you can do something that is needs to go circular around the machine. So I'm able to pull that off. You can see underneath here was my bobbin tension. That was a little bit off, so I adjusted it back to the middle. And I've got my piece all pinned and ready to go. So we're going to start. You can see how they had the distressing, which is a really cool element, but it has come apart. We're going to start at one end and try and go along this top edge. Be careful to keep that out of our way. Now this double band might present a bit of a problem here. We're about to see how that will go. I'm going to kind of test and see what the range of my needle is, if I'm lined up correctly. I feel pretty good about that. Okay, you see how the tension in my, we're going to bring that back this way because we don't want that big loop to start in there. Sometimes I like to walk the machine to start it. You're always going to start with a back stitch. So you're going to hold down that lever. So it starts with a back stitch, and then you want to go forward. That's going to lock off your stitch. And I'm going to give it a gentle pull as you go, and I'm going to go slow. Because I have 3 layers of fabric, and I would only want to do this once. The faster we go, especially with a non-industrial machine, the more likely it is going to be to jam. And see, I'm pulling it tight as we go. That way, just like on the chair, the stitches are going to be placed in there evenly. And because of the because of the direction of our pins mostly being perpendicular, well, you can see I got one there. That one was a little crooked. I'm able to sew right through without taking it out. So we caught that last one. This one's a little diagonal. I'm going to take that one out. And then I'm going to pull it again. And I'm going to keep sewing. And again, going slow. When you go slow, if your needle does hit something, it can have time to go around it instead of being jammed quickly down into whatever it is hitting. Okay, so I have reached the edge of the part that was loose, and you can see how I also have this distressing on this point all the way through here. So it's very likely that that is going to happen on this point as well. So I'm going to go ahead and keep sewing and sing a little song while we go. Hey, oh, move the pants along. Sometimes you gotta rotate it too. So you gotta rotate that under so it keeps walking with you. Walking the pants around the machine, stitching the pants so they're lean and mean. You can make up terrible rhymes and terrible songs. It's all right. You can do that. Sound effects, those are all good too. Highly encourage sound effects while sewing. Man, it's hot back here, y'all. It's summertime. Summertime is the time where I get little jobs like this done. Being a teacher, I don't like to do things like this much in the year because my focus is on school and student work. All right, I'm gonna catch you back on the flip side and show you how the garment was before I had to pin it. Yes, I'm gonna fix your pants. Your pants! I'm fixing your pants.
Why are you filming my pants?
Why am I filming your pants? Hey, why not? Pants need an audience. All right, catch you on the flip side. Righto. You can hear the sirens in the background. Just another day in the city in which I live. Okay, so now I've sewn this whole top edge, and I'm going to pull all these pins out. See, bye-bye birdies. Put these things are great. These magnets, the best way to keep pins. I'm aware of that. And bada bing, bada boom, we are connected again. You can see some little threads from the elastic. That's okay. That band is not coming back out. When you're picking thread color, generally best to pick a color, if it doesn't match exactly, that's slightly darker. We're also going to have to check our top thread because I know it's almost out when we started and then all the way around. You can see where I didn't pin it, where it's coming out a little bit. That's okay. That's kind of the look of the pants. The whole band was popping out like this on the other side. So I don't think I'm going to have to pin that again. I think I can just put that back under the machine and kind of pull it and hold it in place, maybe a pin or two. And I'm going to finish that off, and they're going to be wearable again. And she's going to be a very happy girl. All right, so coming back, I am going to pin it because you can see as I was sewing how I thought I was grabbing this inside edge. I was not. I am going to go ahead and pin this section so that when it goes all together, we're going to have that whole solid piece again. So we're going to put the pants back onto the chair with this side facing us. Let's bring it closer. We can just grab that bottom part and we can pin to win. Uh-oh, so we got that there. There we go. Highly recommend. Sewing is 3D, y'all. You always gotta check both sides, whatever you're doing. Double check yourself. It's a lot easier to put stitches in than to take them out. Getting a good hold. So what a pin is, it's kind of like a temporary stitch. It can hold things in place for you until you're ready to do the real deal. Let's see, I pulled out some of that there. So anytime you cut your stitches, I cut here because it was caught funny. What you want to do is just go back a few, maybe an inch or so, and overlap your stitches, and they will naturally grab and keep these stitches here that we didn't lock off. They're kind of loose right now. There we go. Keep going that way. You get the idea. We'll see you at the machine. And we're back. It's one of my favorite things to say. Okay, so seeing here, you can see the gap like I was talking about with the stretch. So that's another reason why I'm stitching it. I'm going to pull it because I don't want those to end up as clunky, weird, almost like mini darts when I sew it. So when I pull that out, that's going to make all that stitching lay flat all the way around there. Again, going around the machine. And we're going to overlap. So let's find right about there is where we're going to start. Lovely slam there for you. Camera, it's an earthquake, y'all. Watch out. All right. I'm going to start by walking. And I'm out a little far. So I'm going to go in. There we go. I'm going to kind of hit along this top edge a little bit. So now that I'm ready, I'm going to reverse to start and then go forward. And then I'm going to get a handle on this waistband back here on the front. And we're going to let the machine do the talking and the walking. I don't like how close that pin is. I'm going to pull that back. Give it a stretch. It's okay if things go a little crooked. No one's going to stop and inspect the straightness of the seams of your child's pants. Ooh, I think I got that pin. If they do, I'm pretty sure there might be something wrong with them. back these pins out a little bit. The birds are gonna get impaled here. All right. The machine starts cracking. You're not tracking. And we're out of thread. Reload, reload. Just like in that aliens game where I got used to shoot the aliens, I gotta reload. Be back in a flash. Okay, so you can see I ran out of my top thread. That's because this spool was on its last thread. So we're gonna go ahead and change that. This is the next closest color that I have. So it just goes right through the middle. Goes right through the middle, like so. And then that goes back on the end. My fingers are red because my kids were making popsicles. Looks like a terrible disease. It's actually quite interesting. Work of art. There we go. All right, so we're gonna thread the machine. Okay, and your machines now, they'll show you how to do this. So this is step 1. I'm gonna go around that, and then down. That's 2. Back up. Now 3 is in there. You can see that it gets caught inside like a groove right there. And then we come down back through this trough. This is great camera work, y'all. I'm gonna win an award for that. And then finally through here, and it's gonna go through this needle, which I have this needle threader. So I bring that down, and that pushes through, and then I have, you can see it, I put the thread under this and through here, and that little tiny like hook is going to catch it and pull the thread through. You can see that's hooked in there, and again my string is going to go underneath this, and I kind of bring it up, and you'll know you've caught it. That loop on the back side, and you're going to pull that right on through. Let's trim off some excess, and then I always make sure I put that back through the presser foot. Okay, we're going to finish it off. Let's see here. Again, we're going to overlap because we have to stop. You can also lift your presser foot up. Check my range here. That looks good. And put the presser foot down. Starting the needle manually. I like to have that little bit of slow control. And I'm going to reverse. And we'll pull. And I'm just going to walk along. And we're almost done. I'm going to pull that out of the way. You can see our strings where we started. Go, bada bing, bada boom. Making sure the needle is up. Your garment will not come out if the needle is not up. Luckily, my presser foot won't let my finger go under there. Some machines, you might need to watch that. All right, we're gonna pull out these pins. Goes back over there on a magnet. Another thing I highly recommend is the nippers. I keep one in the storage compartment here, along with another scrap fabric, but this is woven, so I can test woven threads tension. Keep that right under there, along with other spare parts, needles, screwdrivers, things you would need. It's very easy for the quick removal of little threads. You can pull those right off there. All right, so here you can see it's all in one piece again. So we missed a little bit right there. I'm gonna go back and fix that, but otherwise we are good to go. She can wear her pants again like she did before, be a happy girl, and the pants do a happy dance. Okay, so I did realize I caught this secondary waistband, which I didn't think was going to bother me, but as it's sitting on, it's going to look funny. So let me show you how to take something back out. This is why we use big stitches. See here, you can see here where it's caught. So I'm going to use my handy dandy nippers, and I can just kind of grab a few of those and cut without too much trouble. Sewing, it's like problem solving. It's like life. Things go wrong, and you just gotta take the time to work through it. Sewing is not for the faint of heart, y'all. And the only way you're not gonna be making a lot of mistakes is if you do it a lot. In which case, you'd still be making a lot of mistakes while you're learning. So you can't avoid the mistakes. Happy accidents, right? Here we go. Almost there. Fold those little ones. Those are buggers. Okay. Okay. Then we're going to pull all these out. There we go. You can see where we've come loose. And we're going to have to pin it again. We're going to make sure we're going to pin it again, and we're going to make sure that this stays well out of the way. All right, friends, we got it now. You can see we have our two separate waistbands, and we have fixed the problem. So, if you have something that needs to be fixed, hopefully I've been of some help. Good day. So I have the fabric in. I'm going to lower the foot and test the stitch on this scrap piece of fabric. Here we go. I can hear something is wrong. Okay. Oh, jeez. I broke it. Look at that. As crooked as can be. That one's a goner.